Hi, how you doing? I'm Tim Carter at thebuilder.com with some messed up hair. I was the reason my hair's a little messed up is because of what the topic of today's live stream is about, blowing snow. But before we go any further, guess who's sponsoring today's live stream? The author of Roofing Ripoff. That would be me right there. All right, so you need to get a copy of this book. It's really easy. You can read it in less than an hour. Going to tell you why your asphalt shingles are falling apart. I got secret information from from one of the top roof manufacturers in the United States, and everything in the book's true because it's never been challenged. That's how you know that you're telling the truth for the most part in my world. And I sent copies of that ebook to all of the roofing manufacturers as well as their big association, and to let them know that I knew what was going on. And they've never issued a press release, never issued a column to say, oh, Tim Carter, he doesn't know what he's talking about. So that when that happens, that tells you that you're telling the truth, just so you know. Jason, good afternoon. How you doing? So anyway, here's what you have to do to get your free copy of the roofing ripoff book. Just go to that link. Simple as that. Just go to that link and follow the instructions. Not only you're going to get the roofing ripoff book, you're going to get 7 other things. Really, really great information. So just do it. It's not a scam. There's no malware. There's no spyware. You'll be signing up for my newsletter. I think that's fair. If I'm giving you $110 worth of stuff, I think the least you can do is sign up for my newsletter. Wouldn't you say so? If you think it's unfair, let me know. I'd happy to debate it with you. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about snowblowers. It's my favorite topic of the year. This time of year, here in New Hampshire, where I live, we can get a lot of snow. I think on average, where I live in central New Hampshire, the total accumulation for a season, which generally begins, I don't know, the first week of December. Well, you can get snow in November, but it typically will melt. But it doesn't matter; it all adds up. Um, but I think it's around somewhere between 5 and 6 feet is the average total accumulation for each season. And the average snowfall is really what happened this morning. In other words, during the night and today, we got about 5 inch, 4.5, 5 inches of snow. It's pretty light stuff, not too bad, easy to get rid of, not too heavy. And here's the true story about my first encounter with snowblowers. So I'm there's that crutch word. I moved here to New Hampshire in 2008, and my next door neighbor at the time, really nice guy named Dave, and his wife Carol. They were wonderful people. My best neighbors I've ever had. Although the people that bought the house from them, they're pretty good too. Pretty good. Anyway, it was in summer, August or so. I don't know, maybe in September. I asked Dave one day. I said, "Could I get the name and phone number of the guy you used to plow snow so I can make arrangements?" And Dave, you have to understand, Dave was a born New Englander. All right, so I'm not in the club, and I'll never be in the club. I'm considered a flatlander. That's what they call us. And it doesn't matter if I moved here when I was 2 months old, I'd still be a flatlander. Anyway, and if Will's here, he'll appreciate this. So anyway, so Dave has this really, I guess I want to call stoic. He would laugh. He could laugh, but most of the time had this pretty serious look on his face. And he oh, I also need to tell you this because you'll understand why I was shocked by his response. My driveway, first of all, I share the top, I don't know, the top 35%, I don't know, maybe 25% of my driveway with my next door neighbor. We share the top part. And so it's probably from the mailbox down to my where I'm looking at the window to my big giant apron. It's gotta be 150 feet. All right. So 150 feet, 12 feet wide or so, 10 feet, 11 feet, 12 feet wide. Hey, Louise, it's going pretty good, buddy. Great that you're here. The and then I've got this pretty big parking area, pretty big apron. So now you know. In other words, it's a lot of snow to get rid of. So I say, there's the stupid crutch word. So I say to Dave, I need the name and number of the plow guy. And he just looks at me, he goes, We're not plowing the driveway. And he had this pregnant pause. And I in my head, I just thought, well, if we're not plowing the driveway, that must mean we're gonna hand shovel it. And and then, after the pregnant pause, because you know how fast your mind works. Your mind, even with just a 1 or 2 seconds, you can run through a couple of scenarios. All right. Hey, Lorraine, you made it. Can't wait to hear how the meeting went. So I go through these scenarios, and then Dave says, you're going to go out and buy a snowblower. He said, we don't want to use a plow. He said, the reason why is the plow guys ruin the driveway. He said, those big plows, they don't get all the snow off. And then they drive on it and it turns to ice. And if it turns to ice, we're never getting out of here. Because my driveway, part of it, actually, the first 30 feet coming up out of that apron, it's probably a 25% grade. I mean, it's really steep. I mean, really steep. I've never measured it. I think I might do that tomorrow to see what the grade is. And you know what percent grade is? It's how many feet something rises in 100 feet. So in other words, it's a lot like roof pitch. In other words, if you go 10 horizontal, I'm sorry, if you go 100 horizontal feet and it rises 10 feet, that's a 10% grade. I'm 99%. That's positive. That's how they do it. Anyway, he said the plows ruin it. They turn it to ice. He said, you're going to get a snowblower. And he said, here's what happens. You're going to set the snowblower so it scrapes the blacktop and blow the snow. And 2 or 3 hours after you blow the snow, the driveway is going to be dry as a bone. It's going to look like an August day, like today. And of course, I had no experience with snowblowers. None. Never used one. I mean, where I was from in Cincinnati, hardly anybody had snowblowers. I mean, Cincinnati, it'll snow like a big snowstorm in Cincinnati would be considered 4 inches of snow. I mean, like a death, what we call a death snowstorm. I mean, the most snow that ever happened in Cincinnati in my lifetime was about 13, 14 years ago. I think we had 14 inches of snow in a 24-hour period. I mean, it just paralyzed the city. All right. Just paralyzed it. So there it is again. Stupid crutch word. So hard to not do that. What happens is he was right. What happens is in New Hampshire, when we typically have a storm, it doesn't happen all the time. Like it didn't happen today. It might happen overnight. But the storm systems, once they get up this high in latitude where we are, they move off pretty quickly. And the reason that happens is just like when a figure skater. Have you ever seen figure skaters where they skate and they make a tight loop and then they start spinning around like a top? And the tighter that the figure skater brings their arms in, the faster they spin. And realize they have not added any energy to the motion. In other words, once they come in and start their spin, that's it. It's like a bullet fired out of a gun, meaning that bullet, it only has a finite amount of energy that the gunpowder and the cartridge gave it. Anyway, so there it is. the storm systems here move off really quickly, and then the next day you have a really beautiful blue sky day, and the sun comes out, and his driveway, Dave's, my neighbor's, gets more sunlight than mine. And truth be told, it's magic. In 2 or 3 hours, the snow, what little snow is left on the driveway from the snowblower is it melts and then it evaporates and the driveway is dry as a bone. Pretty amazing. How do they work? Snowblowers are just like lawnmowers. All right, think of what a lawnmower does. It's got this spinning blade, cuts the grass, and the spinning motion ejects the grass out the end. The little port, the chute of the lawnmower. Snowblower is pretty much the same thing. It's got typically that you can have a single stage snowblower, or most snowblowers are 2 stages, and there are some 3-stage ones. I had a 3-stage one. A single stage snowblower is just one that's got a rapidly spinning, I don't know, like round drum with blades, and that spinning, shoots the snow off. A 2-stage has got slower moving augers. So these circular, they look like, they're just like giant screws is the best way to describe it. And it chops into the snow. You can see videos of this. I've got 4 videos on askthebuilder.com about snowblowers. I review them. So you need to go watch all of my snowblower videos. In fact, there's a treat in one of them. If you pull up all my snowblowers, and in one of them, I'm wearing these black bib, snow bib, snow ski, skiing bibs with a red shirt. You're going to see me without a mustache. It's the one time in, wow, how many years? I don't know, 47 years I didn't have a mustache. That's a story for another day. The augers bring the snow to the center of the blower and kind of force it back. They bring it sideways and then they push it back up into this very high speed spinning impeller that I'm convinced is tied directly. There might be some gearing involved. There probably has to be, because it would be 90 degrees to the shaft of the engine. Anyway, but that impeller is spinning really fast. And I mean, it can shoot the snow a long distance. Okay. So that's how snowblowers work. And it's really important. Here's a big mistake a lot of people make with snowblowers, just so you know. It's really important to keep the driveway or wherever you're blowing free of debris, because you don't want, if you put debris or chunks of ice into the snowblower, you'll bend those augers, and you'll probably break the shear pins. And there's nothing worse than a broken shear pin when it's 20 degrees, it's dark, your hands are frozen, the shaft of the auger is encrusted in ice, and now you've got to put a new shear pin in. So there it is, the daggone. That means that you want to keep the driveway clear, so you're just blowing snow and not trying to blow ice and rocks and limbs and whatever. That's the big thing. And here in New Hampshire, what you discover pretty quickly is this time of year, December, January, pretty much the first half of February, you really want to do a good job of cleaning the snow, because there's still a lot more snow coming. And you don't want ice to build up. I mean, ice is just horrible. If you have any questions about this, just let me know. We can talk about anything you want today. I really don't care. Let's try to go soft on the sensitive topics if we do that. But type any questions you have, any comments, and anything you want, any news, anything you want to talk about. I'm more than happy to do it. It's a Friday. We don't necessarily have a lot of people here. That's okay. You can probably see that yourself. But that's what happens. It's a Friday, and people have just run out of gas for the week. I was tired yesterday afternoon. I can tell you that. I was really tired, like crazy tired. I had worked pretty hard yesterday. I had a lot of stuff going on in the morning. Anyway, excuse me. All right. Oh, Lorraine. Oh, well, good for you. Good for you. You're welcome. I was happy to answer that. I hope, I'm really curious to find out. I'll tell you what I would love to see happen. It would be really amazing, if you don't mind doing it, while your new fireplace goes in, take a ton of photos. take a ton of photos of the demolition, of what it looks like inside behind that fireplace, of them putting everything back together. That would really be an interesting thing to put on the website. I can keep you private, make you anonymous, but other people could really learn from your experience. So, Lorene, consider doing that. John, how you doing? Pleasure to have you. Oh yeah, no doubt. Who's not? I mean, here's a rhetorical question. Who's not using CAD? Remember yesterday that young gentleman? I guess it could have been a young woman. I really don't know, because all these names, all your usernames, for the most part, you're invisible. I don't know if you're a man, a woman. Doesn't know. I don't know. Doesn't matter. And I don't care. I don't care. Anyway, yeah. So that could be. No, yeah, those fireplaces. I don't know what I really want, but Kathy doesn't like. I was at. It was probably. Boy, it's hard to believe it's been that long. Could have been 16 years ago. I went to there's a really neat association. It's called the Hearth. I think this is it. The Hearth Patio, maybe it's Hearth Barbecue and Patio Association. So a bunch of manufacturers, because all those things are kind of related. They have their own association, and they invited me out to their show, which happened to be in Los Angeles. And I flew out there, and oh, I saw some of the most beautiful wood stoves. Personally, I like the wood stoves that are out in the room, and some of them are porcelain, enameled, cast iron, and I'm just telling you, they're almost like works of art. I just love them. But Kathy's not a big fan. Thus, I would, if I end up being single or whatever, man, I'm getting a wood stove. Or in the next house we're building, I'm going to build a second little shack, whatever. It could be like a mini home, and I'm going to have a wood stove in it. I mean, the problem is, the smaller the house gets, you can only put a tiny fire in those things because they'll get so hot, they put out so much heat. You just have to be careful. But congratulations. Hey, Will, how you doing? Yeah. Yeah, our snow stopped here about 2 hours ago. So I started blowing snow at 2:30, and it only took me, I was surprised, maybe 35 minutes, and I had done the whole driveway, and I had done a lot of it. I got a lot of it done. And but I still have to do my front walk and the front porch. I've got this box canyon, all the snow comes off the roof. It's a mess. It's horrible. And I still have to blow the deck off. I have a dedicated snowblower that's on my back deck, and that's how I deal with that. But that only takes a few minutes. Yep, bad. But so anyway, Lorene, your problem with that bad fireplace, there's all kinds of different products in different verticals, that same exact story. They just didn't hold up well. The generation one of a product is not always the best thing to go with. Oh yeah, boy, I so want a wood stove. Oh, you probably have one. I guess, Will, you're probably talking about one of those traditional. I'm assuming this. You're talking about a traditional, kind of like a coal stove or a cast iron stove. I think. I don't know. I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna write that down. I want to look that up and see what that is. Grandma Bear Fisher. Or you could email me a picture. That would even be better. So there it is again. So what a bad crutch word. Maybe if I take some ice water, I won't do it anymore. I doubt it. If you want to know, it's a shame. If Steve was here, Steve would have 10, not 10. He'd have at least 3 questions about blowing snow, because if he's lived in London his whole life, hey, I can't believe that he's ever really seen much accumulating snow. I don't think it snows much in London. I mean, they'll get some snow, but it's sure as heck not like we would get here. And it does snow a lot up in northern England, up in Scotland, but not down in London. Yes, soapstone, wood stoves, exactly. Exactly. So Lorene says, if you have a pellet stove in the basement, the wood ones are very ornamental. Exactly. And you're exactly right. They are ornamental. And that's what I like about them. They look good looking and you can get some heat out of them. I just cannot wait to get one. I cannot wait. Yeah, boy, spiced apple. That sounds good. I've just got plain water right now. Spiced apple cider. Boy, does that sound good. Anyway, I wrote a letter to the editor today of the local paper. It's going to be really interesting to see if they print it. I kind of raked the publisher over the coals in my email, and I might have upset him enough that he would just threw my email away. We're going to find out. We're going to find out. What I would do if I were you, I'll come back to this on Monday. It might not appear until Monday, with it being Friday. I sent the letter in at about 10 o'clock this morning, and so it was probably too hard up against the hard deadline for tomorrow's paper. I'm going to wait until Monday, and then if it does get published, I'll share it with you. It's a letter that you have to read. You have to see it. But that's all I'm going to say right now. Yes, spiced apple cider. Boy, Will, man, I wish we had technology like they had on Star Trek, that the transporter. Boy, and they've had it on all, it seems like all of the futuristic space shows they have it. I forget what the last show was. There've been so many, but you just go over to and you press a button. I mean, here's what's going to happen. Where it's moving, I think. So I don't want to say her name because she'll come alive. I have one of those Amazon things that my daughter gave me. And you can say her name and she comes alive and she'll answer your questions. She'll tell you a joke, whatever. Well, there's not a doubt in my mind in 10 years, you'll say, hey, I'm just going to make the name up. Hey, Bobby, bring me an iced tea. And then this robot is going to bring you an iced tea made exactly the way you like it. So that's where we're headed. Oh, no. Oh, my gosh. Minus 16 last night. Today, a high of -4. Oh, my gosh. My oldest daughter is addicted to the Amazon devices. I mean, she talks to it and does this, does that, turn the radio down, play this music. It's that she's from a different generation. So what I don't like about it, but there is a kill button on it. There's a button, but here's the thing. I don't know that it necessarily works. There's a button I can push on the top and that turns the whole thing red, which supposedly means it's not listening anymore. So if you want to have a private conversation, then you need to push that button. In my opinion, because I've gotten so cynical, to heck with that, I'm unplugging it, or I'm just getting rid of the thing. And I've threatened that one day if I get angry enough, I'm going to shoot it. I'm going to take one of my guns and shoot the thing. But they listen all the time. She's listening right now. She's listening to everything I say. You can go on the internet. Their police departments have used them to solve crimes. They record everything. And then if something bad happens, the police can go to Amazon and with a subpoena and get the voice files, and they can solve crimes with it. So that's why Kathy hates these things. She hates everything about it. I had a beautiful Bluetooth speaker and recessed light above our kitchen island, and I loved it, and so did my youngest daughter, because I would play, I'd connect it to my phone and play music, and Kathy hated it, man. It would make her angry, so I finally had to take it out. She hated that thing. She hates everything about all that stuff. That's a good idea. Turn on music for the pets. That's a really good idea. All right, so here, got a question from H. Lee. And by the way, if you have any questions or comments or whatever, put them in the chat. I'm happy to answer them. It's kind of a relaxed Friday afternoon. H. Lee says, oh, that's a great question. He says, Tim, from your book, and of course, here's the book H. Lee's talking about. You can get it for free free PDF file. Seriously, I'm giving it away for free. Just go up in the chat. I'll actually I'll put it in again right now so that, because the way that this works, by the way, is if you've not gone back and watched the live streams, everything that's in the chat appears on the replay, which is good. I mean, because it gives context to the people watching the replay. Go to that link. You can get this book. All right, simple as that. And in the book, so here it is, the crutch word. You're going to see this picture in the book. All right. So look at that roof. So look at the condition of the roof right under the cupola. All right. The shingles are in excellent condition, but look to the right and to the left. On the, I'm going to try to do, I want to hold this. So over here, the shingles are so bad, all of the granules are off those shingles and they're really curled. And here you can see they're in pretty bad shape. So what's really interesting about this photo, you can also you can figure out what the prevailing wind direction is. In this photo, which way the wind blows most of the time. Can you guess? Can you guess which way the wind blows looking at that photo? Most of the time, not all the time. Pretty simple. It blows this direction. It goes from this way to here because some of these shingles over here are still in pretty good shape. So they're getting some of that copper. All right. Now I'm going to answer H's question. The reason I say in the book 7 years, and it's because there's a possibility that there's been enough damage to the shingles after 7 years, depending on when they were made, that they might be past the point of no return. And that was the case in my own personal roof. In other words, when I bought my home here in New Hampshire, let's see how old the house was. The house was, I don't know, the roof was it couldn't have been more than 8 years old. And the roof looked really good. I mean, it was in pretty good shape. But within 18 months, it started to look bad. So there's that crutch word again. In other words, in just 18 months, there had to have been a lot of damage at year 7 or 8 for it to all of a sudden catastrophically start to fail. That said, if your roof is 7 years old or 8 years old and it looks in really good condition, meaning you really get up and look at it, you can't see any missing granules, there's no curling, then absolutely go ahead and put the copper on. Absolutely. And the more copper you put on, the better. My calculations showed that 6 inches of exposed copper will protect about 20 to 25 feet down roof. And that's what most houses, most regular ranch houses, they're only about, from the ridge down to the drip line is about 22 feet of shingles. It would be better if you go to the copper roof strips page on my shopping cart, you can see a photograph of my daughter's roof, how we did hers. We put about 10 inches exposed on each side. 10 inches is better. That's what I would do. I'd recommend that. I hope that answers your question, but that's why I recommend it after 7 years. You might not get the results you're looking for. All right. Okay, let's see. Well, thank you very much, Lorraine. You can delete your voice recording. Good. I think I'm going to start doing that. Not that I'm up here talking to anybody. I don't talk to myself that often. Will says, I heard you talk about a certain brand of cars you will get ads for those. Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. No, that happens all the time. Well, same thing. My stupid Google Pixel phone is same thing. It's listening all the time. They're spying on you. And that's really truthful. This thing is spying on you. And for that exact reason, I'll say something, and sure enough, within a few hours, I'll see ads about that stuff that I typically never talk about. And you should do that yourself. If you've got a Google phone or one with an Android system, start doing that. Start start talking about, or even just say it. Just say, actually, I'll do a test. We'll do a test, and then I'll give you a screenshot here on Monday. So I'll say, let's see, let's come up with a good idea. I could use your help. What can I say to the phone that's really unusual? Um, oh, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you. I mean, this would be perfect sense. Boy, I would really love to buy some lipstick. I've been thinking about wearing lipstick, and I, I mean, because it looks so beautiful on the women that I see. I wonder how I could get some lipstick. Oh, I would like to see all the different colors of lipstick because I think I might get one that's really red. Red. I love the color of red lipstick. All right, we'll see what happens. Baby cribs. Oh, no, I don't. We don't need any more babies around the Carter house. No, bad idea. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Anyway, if you have a question about your house or anything, just put it in the chat. I'll happy to answer you. Yeah, that's exactly right. I'll be, because my smartphone is tied directly to my everything I do online, because I use, by the way, this, and actually I'll say something good about this. My cell phone provider is Google. Pretty crazy, huh? You may not have ever heard of this. I use Google Fi. So Google and then the word FI, which is short for Wi-Fi. And because I am home 99% of the time, all of my phone calls are voice over IP, like Skype, all just actually like this, no different than what I'm doing right now. And the reason you hear my voice over IP. Call quality is fantastic. As soon as I switched to Google Fi, my cell phone bill was cut in half. All right, that's great. That's a great thing. But so there it is again. How many times have I said it today? 10? 10 so far? Oh. Anyway, I say that a lot too. They're all crutch words. My phone then listens to me, and then I will not only will I probably start seeing those ads on the phone, but I will see them for sure when I start surfing the web. And as soon as I do, I'm going to take screenshots and I'm going to share those with you. You'll see. These daggone things are spying on us. Anyway, there it is. Crutch word. Anyway, so all these horrible crutch words. So bad. So bad. What a shame that Steve's not here. As I said, he'd be asking all kinds of questions about the snow. What I'm really happy about, here we are. It is now January 7th, and we're 2 weeks past the solstice, and a little over 2 weeks actually. And I can already tell we're getting more daylight hours, because 2 weeks ago it would have been pitch black right now outside, and it's not. It's really dusky here in New Hampshire, very dusky. But there's still enough light out there. If I went out there with a newspaper, I could read it. And after the live stream, I may go out, and I always have to. I'm really particular about my driveway, and I have to be because of the hill. But the snowblower leaves a little debris behind, and anyway, I go out there and with my snow shovel, it's got a nice metal blade on a plastic snow shovel. I get all the snow off except for that snow that's in between the pieces of stone and the blacktop. And hey, Will, I'll tell you what I'm going to do today or tomorrow morning for sure. I'm going to spread some of the wood ashes out there again. I want to do a test tomorrow of the wood ashes because it's supposed to be sunny here. And I'm very interested. And I don't know if you're doing it, it'd be really interesting for you to report if you see any difference using, sprinkling. You don't have to sprinkle a lot. It doesn't have to be heavy. You just sprinkle lightly the wood ashes on the little, where the dusting of snow is, and it should do a much better job of getting rid of the snow faster. Yeah, it is. I know it is messy. I know. The couple of times I've done it, gets all over my shoes and my boots. So I don't like that, but I just take a broom and I just brush it off real fast, an old paintbrush. But I agree, it is messy. There's no, I can't argue that one. Uh, anyway, anyway, what do I want to tell you? I told you about the letter to the editor. That was pretty cool. Oh, here's another thing, pretty interesting. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, so I won't do it when it's windy. I wrote yesterday morning. I had been putting it off. I am the chief of communications for the New England Forest Rally, which is it's a world-class car race event that's held every summer. Well, it wasn't held in 2020 because of the illness. However, it was held this past summer, and it's held in Western Maine, and it is in northeastern New Hampshire. And you can read all about it on my radio blog. So go to w3atb.com. I'll put that in the chat here. Actually, I think I might have pulled it up. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll put a direct link, so you can find it really quickly. There we go. I'll have this link, and I think it would be a fun story for you to read, and you can get a feel of what's going on with this race. I mean, world-class drivers. Travis Pastrana, Ken Block. I mean, these are world-class guys that compete in this thing. And here it is right here. This is the story I want you to read. This is a really, it's kind of a longer story, but it gives you an idea of what's involved. And here we go. Back again. All right, so go to that link when you get a chance, or at least open it up now. You don't have to read the story now, but at least you'll have a tab open. You can read it later. And I'll be right there. I'll answer that question in a second. This past year, we finally, with the help of some other operators, it was actually the idea of my radio mentor. He's the one who came up with the idea, and he came up with the idea almost 3.5 years ago. And if you once you read the story that I wrote yesterday, it'll all make sense. So we tried this new method. It's called NEVIS, Near Vertical Incidence Skywave. So NEVIS is an acronym, NVIS. And what happens is typically radio waves, they kind of shoot out. They'll shoot out maybe at an angle. I'm sorry about that. They'll shoot out at an angle. But with NEVIS, what happens is you aim the radio wave straight up. They go up about 50, 60 miles, and then they come straight back down. But they come down kind of like a cone, seriously, like an upside down sugar cone, where the diameter of the cone or the area is about 200 miles. So the military uses this type of communication system in very hilly terrain, because most radios, I don't have one in front, like the little you've seen radio guys like me that have these small handheld radios. Those operate in the 2-meter band, and those are basically line of sight. It works like just think of the beam of a flashlight or a laser coming out of a laser. So if you aim a laser at a mountain, that it's not that the radio signal is not going to go through the mountain, and it's not going to go over the mountain. Well, it will go over the mountain if you use NEVIS. I wrote that story yesterday, and I had been putting it off, but I was coming up to a hard deadline, because the magazine QST is the official magazine for the ARRL, the American Radio Relay League, that probably the biggest association or group in America. And every spring they put out a public service issue. And my hope, because they never guarantee it, you always submit an article to them and you hope that they publish it. My hope is that this is going to be the cover story. And I sent them a photo that's good enough to be on the cover. And if they use that photo, that radio operator, he's gonna have his 15 minutes of fame. Let me tell you. That's what I did yesterday. All right. So let's yesterday morning, and I sent the story in. I sent the photos in, and they acknowledged that they received it, but they will not tell you if they're going to publish it. Lorene wants to know, do you have a good recommendation on windows? Yes, I do. I am fascinated with the specialty windows in Finland, but we don't have them here. Here's the deal. This is really great. So I'm going to type into the chat what you need to type into my search engine. Acronym. So it's AAMA. So that stands for American Architectural Manufacturers Association. They're an association of manufacturers, and it's pretty broad association. It's not just manufactured products in home improvement or home building. I'm positive of that. It can go wide. All right, just about anything that's manufactured. In our vertical, they have developed a program. It took years of research and whatever. They came up with a set of standards that if you build windows and doors to these standards, they're the best. And it's called the Gold Label AMA certification program. That you can research online. You can just type in Gold Label AMA or AMA Gold Label, and bingo. So here's what happens. A manufacturer of windows, for example, like Pella or Marvin or Anderson or I don't know, whoever, Simonton, they can go to the association. They would have to pay some money. They can either join the association or they could say, we feel our windows are made to the AMA specs, and we want to be able to put that label, the gold label, on our windows. And AMA goes, okay, you have to figure out how that whole program works. But they go, here's the deal. Well, you can send us windows. We'll come and get 2 windows from you, and we'll test them ourselves. We'll see if they do meet the specs. And if they do, and whatever other hoops you have to jump through, then you just get to start putting the gold label on your windows. All right. And they're the best ones. All right. But here's what AMA says. In 6 months, or around 6 months, it could be 4 months, it could be 8 months, it could be 7 months. It doesn't matter. We're going to stop by the factory one day. And if you want to continue to put those labels on your windows, we are going to stop by the factory unannounced, and we're going to walk back into the shipping area, and we're going to grab 2 windows at random, and we're going to take them and put them in our truck and drive away. So if you've ever had a job of yours where you're 1 window short, and you're getting some kind of sob story as to why it's not there, it may be because it went back to the AMA lab. If you're that poor, unlucky soul. All right. That's so there. I almost said it. That's how AMA keeps the manufacturer honest. So the manufacturer has to make sure they're always making the windows really well, because they never know when AMA is going to show up. That's the long answer to your question, Lorene. AMA certified windows are the best. It's that simple. Thus, and you have to make the people prove that they have the certification. In other words, it's not good enough for you to ask some fast-talking salesman who comes to your home, oh, by the way, are your windows AMA certified? What do you think that 8 out of 10 of them are going to say? Oh, yeah, they're certified. You bet. Sign right here. If you sign tonight, you get a 30% discount. So, there's an old saying, the power's in the question. All right, the power is in the question. You would never ask that question, by the way. You would never, ever say, are your windows AMA certified? You would say, a better question I propose would be, do your windows carry any certifications? And the person's going to say yes or no. If they say yes, your follow-up question would be, oh, great. What are they? Show me. That's the way to do it, in my opinion. Here we go. Yes, it's a great program. It is a great program, by the way. And there are manufacturers who make really great windows. I'm a certified. Remember, you want the gold label. I think they have different programs. They have like good, better, best. So you want the best. If you want the best, because that's what you asked me. Well, you said, do you have a good recommendation on windows? So I would get the AMA, but here's the. I'll tell you one thing right off the top of the bat, though. But everything. Remember, over the past few weeks, we've talked about inflation. I can already tell you that that Anderson makes a great window. I have Anderson windows in my own home here. I've installed hundreds of them. I probably go as far to say I've installed in my career over 1,000 Anderson windows. And they make a great window. Anderson makes a great window. Marvin makes a great window. Pella, I don't know. I'm not. I've been hearing some bad things about Pella. So there it is, the crutch word. Simonton, the window that I'm looking at right now out of my cave is a Simonton window. It's an all vinyl window, and I've been really happy with it. I have very little, if any. Well, I'm sure there's some air leakage, but I don't feel it. And that's what you need to be concerned about with windows. If you're in a New Hampshire climate or where Lorraine lives, in the upper Midwest, and it's minus 14, you and it's windy, you don't want leaky windows. That's and windows, just windows and doors, big heat loss, and if you live down south, heat gain problems. You understand that a sheet of glass, a pane of glass only has an R value of one. So if you have double pane windows, that huge window you've got has got an R value of 2. I don't care what's in between it. I don't care if argon or krypton or neon. I don't care what gas is in between the things. You can get lowy glass and all that too, but just understand the windows themselves, they have got a very low R value. That technology may change. I don't know if it's going to happen in my lifetime. I predict that at some point, somebody, and if you want to become the next billionaire, in my opinion, if you want to become the next billionaire or become a billionaire, you put your thinking cap on and you figure out what can be done to make windows that they're still clear glass, but they have an R factor of 20. You're going to make a lot of money. You're going to make so much money. Whew. Good luck with that, though. Yeah, I knew that. I didn't want to give away that, by the way, Lorraine. I know they have, up in Bayport. All right, you say we had all the windows foamed and a few replaced, but there are 9 more that need replacing. Yep, that can happen. That's a lot of windows. And they, depending on, especially if you go with Anderson, that's kind of the good thing. The Anderson, the style of the windows hasn't really changed a lot. They're kind of smart, I think, that way. So you don't have to replace all the windows in your home at a given time. You don't have to. You can do it over a period of years, and eventually all the windows are going to match. That's a good thing. Any other questions? Any other questions here? I'm happy to answer any question you have about your home. It doesn't matter what it is. Maybe you even have a question about Ask the Builder. Feel free to ask it. How everything works behind the curtains. The magic curtain. Happy to answer. I don't know about you, but every now and then I have these insatiable food cravings. And because they're Cincinnati, where I came from, I lived there for 55 years. They have some very unique restaurants. And I think every major metropolitan can say this to a degree. There are these hometown favorites. And one of them happens to be a place called Skyline Chili that I happen to work at the third one that ever opened when it opened in 1967. And I worked there for a good, I started when I was a freshman in high school. And then I worked there until, I don't know, about 1976. And I mean, if I had a nickel for every Coney Island I made, I'd give Jeff Bezos a run for his money. All right. I made a lot of Coney Islands. And anyway, I just every now and then I get this craving for a 5-way and a couple of cheese conies. So what a 5-way is, it's a plate of spaghetti. And then on that, you would put some of the small red beans. And then you would put the chili. And the chili is the meat's been pureed a little bit. So it's not big, chunky chili. And that's why a lot of people don't like it. They want the big, chunky chili. And then you put onions, diced onions on top of the chili. And then you put grated cheddar cheese. But it's 2 types of cheddar cheese. It's mild and hard, sharp, that we blend together. That's what gives the cheese at Skyline its unique flavor. A lot of people don't know that. It's just delicious. Oh my gosh. Oh. And then, I don't know if I'm going to pronounce it right. We have quite a few. There's a pretty strong Greek community in Cincinnati, Ohio. And many of the Greeks, they gravitate to the restaurant industry. And the gentleman who started this particular business, he died maybe 10 years ago. But he opened up a restaurant up near University of Cincinnati called Chicago Heroes. And most people call them gyros, so Gyros. But I believe the Greeks pronounce it like a heroes. I want a heroes. So the G sounds like an H, a heroes sandwich. And what he did with his, and it's made with lamb meat, but what he would do on these loaves, and he would carve it off, and then he does something a lot of places didn't do. He would then put it on the grill, on the big flat grill, to kind of crisp it up. And then he would dip the pita bread in a little bit of olive oil and also put it on the grill, to get warm and soft. Oh, and then he had a very special, I'm going to murder this word. I'm going to murder it. I think they call it tzatziki sauce. I think it's spelled Tzaki. I don't know. Look it up. Just type in gyro sauce. But he had a special secret recipe. Well, luckily, he sold the business to some other people. They expanded it. They actually moved it across the street. It's now at the corner. It now would be at the it would be at the southwest corner of Clifton and McMillan Street in Cincinnati, Ohio. So if you're ever in Cincinnati, you've got to go there and get one of these hero sandwiches. Fantastic. Oh my gosh. But I could really go for a 5-way right now. Oh. All right. Let's see here. Let's get caught up on the comments. Sorry about that food. Oh, here we go. Will asks, can you divide the standard chimney insert flue to take 2 sources? I don't know how you would do that, Will. Because here's what I'm thinking, just so you know. When you say, you've got chimney flue, so to me, a flue is a clay flue liner. All right. So they come in all different sizes. And there's a reason for that. And I cover that on go to askthebuilder.com, type in chimney, type in fireplace, read all about flue sizes. Anyway, I have no idea how you could divide that, how you could take a 12 by 12 flue liner and put a divider in it. I can't even imagine how to do that. So I'm going to say no. I'm just going to say no, you can't do it. But maybe if somebody can figure it out, but I don't know how to do it. Jagdeep says, hi, Tim. What are requirements to build new attached full washroom attached with room and build it outside attached with room? Well, that question's about that big. All right. So, it's bigger than my hands can go. I can't answer the question because I don't know where you're building it. All right. So I don't know if you're building it in America. I don't know if you're building it in Brazil, in Afghanistan, in Vietnam, Japan, Australia, Russia, Ukraine. I don't know. That's where you start. You would, wherever you're building it, the answer is that you want to know what are the requirements. So the answer is really simple. You just go to the local town where this building is. And if they have a building department, you ask them that question, and that's where your answer is going to be. Simple as that. That's all I can tell you. You need to also know this. I don't memorize the building code. I don't memorize the zoning code in different locations because it's all different. And I think I talked about this the other day. Understand that the building code here in America is, for all intents and purposes, it's a set of recommendations. All right. In other words, it's basically, you could read it as saying, we recommend that you build something this way. Now, what happens is the code of the building officials in each city and town in America, they can vote or make a ruling and say, we're going to adopt and use the building code, that code. And I don't want to say that's the lazy way out. I don't expect the local people to write their own building code. That would be so much work. Oh my gosh. That's why there's this other higher body that creates the code. That said, understand this. I'll give you a great example. Each local building official, the head of the building department, they can reject parts of the code and say, no, we're not doing it that way. Or they can make it more stringent, meaning, this is kind of a crazy example. They may say, I know the code says on decks that the maximum spacing, the air gap between the edges of a baluster are 4 inches. To hell with that. It's got to be, don't exceed 3.5 inches in our city. They can say that, and and you better follow it, or you're not going to get a certificate of occupancy. A great example is in Bar Harbor. The head building official there is a great woman. I've become friends with her. I can't say enough good things about her. Her name's Angela Chamberlain. She's lived in Bar Harbor her whole life, and she's a smart woman. Here's what I like about Angela. She's tough, but she's fair. All right. So there's a big difference. There are people who are tough, but they're not fair. All right. Those are the bad people. Those are the little tin gods. All right. So there, I said it again. Should cut my tongue out. When we were building my daughter's home, my daughter drew the plans, and I don't keep up with the code on purpose because of what I said. It's too hard. It changes every 3 years. My daughter had to have some winder steps between the first and second floor. In the old days, the winders could have a radius of 0 inches. Well, the code now says they have to be 6 inches. And we didn't find this out until well into the house being built. Angie gave an exemption. She was smart. She saw that where you normally walk, that the treads were actually bigger than the regular treads of the staircase. So she just, no big deal. She said, I don't care. The stairs are safe. So that's an example. So that's what you need to know, Jagdeep. So you're in Winnipeg, Canada. So Winnipeg, big city, all right? Bigger city, at least. You need to go to Winnipeg, the building department. I guarantee they have one, and find out what their requirements are. I'm sure there's a Canadian building code that is used up there. There's got to be, and they're going to tell you everything you need to know. I can tell you this: that if you say you want a full washroom. So just so you know, if they require you to produce a plumbing riser diagram or plumbing isometric diagram, I draw those. So you can have me draw those plans for you if you want. So I'm one of the few people around that draw them. And I've never had them turned down yet. I've had some different people from different countries do it. So I draw those for you. I mean, you have to pay me, but it's a very reasonable fee. So you'll find that out. So you want to ask them, do I have to supply a plumbing isometric drawing or a riser diagram? That's what they're called. And you can go to my Ask the Builder shopping cart right now, and you can, over in the left-hand column, there's a category. It says Draw Plumbing Plans. Click that, and you'll see exactly what it is. I've got videos. You can actually go onto YouTube, watch my video. Type in Draw Plumbing Plans Tim Carter into YouTube. Watch that video. What else do you want to know? What else do you want to know? Hey, Look what the cat drug in. Better late than never, right? Oh, good. To you, it would be good evening, Steve. Good evening. I hope you had a great work day. So give us a full report really quickly, Steve. Give me a full report if you got any energy left over. How are things in London today? I've been talking about you a couple of times. We talked about snow, and I said earlier, I said, boy, if Steve were here, he would have no less than 3 questions about snow, because I don't know that he's ever seen a lot of snow living in London. In fact, I've got a question for you. So tell me, what's the most amount of snow that you've ever seen in London? I would like to know that. I would imagine it snows there, but that it melts somewhat quickly. So I'm just curious. I know it snows in northern the UK and up in Scotland. They can get big snow up there. I got that. But how much snow have you seen in London? And when it does snow, here's my follow-up question. When it does snow, does the snow melt pretty quickly? Maybe I already asked that. Oh, you're welcome, Jagdeep. In fact, I would appreciate it, Jagdeep, if you would come back to maybe once you find out, it could be a week from now, 2 weeks from now, please come back to another live stream and let everyone know what the requirements are. I mean, meaning it just has to be really quick. You could just say, well, they required me to have a blueprint, that a plan that shows this, that, and the other thing. They do require a riser diagram, blah, blah, blah. Just let everyone know. Just share what you found out. Anyway, so I don't know what's happening with Steve. He might be typing a long thing. Who knows? But hopefully he'll answer our question about the snow. Here, Steve, just so you know, the reason I was talking about snowblowers today, Will and I, who live fairly close to one another, we had I would just call it a moderate, or I don't know, Will, what you would call it. I'd just call it a moderate nor'easter, a storm. Nor'easter, it's a low pressure system that glides up the coastline here, of New England. And the reason it's a nor'easter is because the winds go counterclockwise around a low pressure system. So there's the word "so" again. Then you get these winds coming from the northeast. Sometimes it does. Okay, here we go. You say, oh, you got 7 inches. We got about 5 here, Will. We used to get snow in mid to late February recently, and the worst it gets is a couple of inches. Yeah, and I would think that I would agree with that. If I was a betting man, I would have said that you go years in London without any snow. So that's what I thought. Anyway, talked about snowblowers, how we get rid of it. So if you have any interest in snow, then maybe this weekend you want to watch the replay, Steve. The first, I covered that within the first 20 minutes of the live stream, all about snowblowers, how they work. And just so you know, you can save yourself a lot of time. I must have done 4 or 5 different videos of snowblowers on my channel. So just type snowblower Tim Carter into the YouTube search engine. They'll all come up. And one of those videos, I told you, somebody asked me this a month ago, is there any picture of me without a mustache? Guess what? In one of those videos, there's no mustache. And 3 weeks. That's very interesting. So you hit a cold spell and it's stuck around. All right. It's stuck around like that relative who doesn't know when to leave on a Saturday night. Oh my gosh. It's too late in this. I don't know. Do you want? I'll do a quick poll. Do you want me to? Do you want me to tell you the real quick story about the no mustache? Actually, let's do a post. Don't type in there. Let's have some fun. All right. Just hold on here. There we go. I'm only giving you 2 choices, yes or no. Let's see how the results come in. Here we go. Oh my gosh. It's a pretty funny story, actually. So, pretty funny story. Yeah, I'd like to see a picture of it, snowing it there. Wow, 3 years with no snow. That's interesting. That's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. No snow. Well, here's you haven't asked a question yet. I've been thinking about you, Steve. You asked me, I think a month or so ago, about I don't know. You asked me weeks ago if the lakes had frozen yet, and that's a really great question because you're not from here. All of the small ponds and lakes are frozen, and the ice fishermen are out on them. My big lake, Lake Winnisquam, and the big lake, I mean, which is, we call it Winnipesaukee. I mean, everybody around here calls it the big lake, but it's Winnipesaukee. They have not frozen yet. And if you go onto Google Earth and you just look Lake Winnisquam, New Hampshire, you'll see why. So Lake Winnisquam is this, it runs north-south. It's kind of a long, narrow lake. And the prevailing wind in the wintertime is from the north. So it's got a lot of fetch. I mean, because the lake is like 8, 9, 10 miles long. So the water is constantly, got waves going. And when there's a lot of waves, it's not going to freeze unless it's probably 20, 30 below zero. But anyway, it's not. I'm going to take photos of when the lake freezes here and show them to you. Exactly, right. In the north of England, yeah, it snows exactly. Up in Scotland, northern England, it's got to snow all the time. All right, so it's interesting. Some people, some people like, no, I love this. I mean, I don't know who you are, and it doesn't matter. I'm trying to look at I'm clicking the options next to the poll, but nothing's coming up. But 80% want to hear the mustache test, and the 20% of the people, sorry. I mean, I'm going to ask this question. Maybe you'll answer, but unfortunately, that identifies you, so I know you're not going to answer. Like, why would you not want to hear the mustache story? Why would you not want to hear that story? I would love to hear that answer. Here we go. Back when I moved here to New Hampshire in 2008, but Kathy did not move here for 2 more years. So I was up here with my oldest daughter and my future son-in-law. So the 3 of us lived here in New Hampshire. It was like a constant 24-hour fraternity party, is all I can tell you. we had such a great time. Not to say that when Kathy's here, it's a bad time. No, don't take that away. So there's the word again. So I would go back to Cincinnati about once a month, and I would have to do repairs there, stop in and see Kathy. And of course, my youngest daughter was still there at home. And the reason that's why Kathy didn't move up here is because our youngest daughter was still in high school and she wanted to graduate with her friends. All right, that makes perfect sense. I get it. I'm home one day. It's in the wintertime. It was around Christmas, I think. I'm there and I would take my laptop and do work. And I was in the dining room and my youngest daughter pops her head into the dining room and says, "Hey, Dad." I'm sure this is true. I am not embellishing this at all. She goes, "Hey, Dad, you would look great without a mustache. You should really shave that thing off." And I went, okay. And you have to understand, I had this mustache for 30 something years. All right. She had never, that's a long, I mean, none of my kids had ever seen me without a mustache. I just go back to work. She comes back down 45 minutes later and pops her head in the door again. She says, "Dad, I'm serious. You would really, I mean, Mom would, you would really be handsome without that mustache." So she's yanking my chain. All right. But since I love her and I trust her, I didn't pick up on that. So I think I go, okay. The average hair on my mustache is about that long. All right. So it's about, I'm holding up the camera. No more than 3/4 of an inch, the up here to down here. And I don't know if you know this, if you've ever talked to your barber, if you know anything about hair growth, but the average human, your hair grows about 1/8 of an inch a week. All right. 1/8 of an inch a week. So I thought, well, I could shave it off, and in 6 to 7 weeks, it's going to be right back to where it is now. I don't see the public. I don't, whatever. I go upstairs. I don't say anything to anybody. I go upstairs. I shave it off. I come back downstairs. I don't say anything to anybody. That night at dinner, my daughter and Kathy look at me and go, "What?" They're like, "Liz, what did you do?" Kathy's like, "Are you an idiot?" And then my daughter says, "I was only kidding, Dad." Anyway, I kept shaving it for a couple of days, because I wanted my oldest daughter up who was up here in New Hampshire, to see it. And she had the same reaction when I finally drove back home or drove back up to New Hampshire. So that's the story. That probably the people who said no, now it's 17%. They probably said, "See, I voted the right way. It was a stupid story." I am going to get out of here. It's a Friday afternoon. I had a pretty busy week. I hope you did too. I hope you have a great weekend. And if you have any questions over the weekend, write them down. We can go over them on Monday. If you have any last minute questions, now is your time to get it in. Last call. This just like at the bar. Last call for alcohol. So last call for any questions very quickly. I'll give you a chance here. And you know the routine. Like if you like the live stream, you got to hit the like button. Let's go back and let's plug in that the link again for the free ebook one last time. Let's do that. And same thing, if you have not gotten this yet, I just feel you're making a big mistake. So there's the link to get the free roofing ripoff ebook. And not only do you get this for free, you get 7 other things for free. There's no malware, there's no spyware, there's no bad juju magumbo. Everything's fine, no viruses, no nothing. Are you kidding me? Lorraine, she teases me all the time. She's got the devil in her. She's a great young woman. Yep. All right, I'm gonna get out of here. Steve, Lorraine, Jason, Will, if you're still here, okay, scammer. I'm probably getting caught up on the chat. Here we go. Wait, before I leave, I got to read these chat questions or comments. Tell the story. Jason says, "Tell the story." Your local Indian scammer. I love that username. Sorry, I clicked no. No problem. It's not a problem. I don't care. Just your video quality. What happens to us when we get older? Yeah, we need longer hair to deal with it. Just put your finger in front of it to show us. Yeah, exactly right. That's how long it is. Okay. Good night, matey. Hope we get to have a beverage together one day. That goes for you on the live stream. That goes for everyone who I've become friends with. Jason, Shannon, Lorene, Will, Steve. How cool would it be to get together one day? I told you that in the past. Back when I used to travel here in America, I would do, whenever I had extra time, and I knew I could fit it in my schedule, I would do we called them meetups. And I've had some great ones. It is so much fun. It was so much fun to meet my newsletter subscribers. Oh, they've all got story. Everyone's got a story. Everyone's got a story. And I want to hear yours. I mean, boy, that would be so cool to do that one day. Yeah, it would be nice. I'm out of here. Thanks for watching today, and thanks for chatting. I mean, remember, I thrive off the your chat. That's what makes it happen. I don't know why. Will I don't know. I can't explain why. What'll be I'm seeing all the links in the chat, just so you know. I will. Oh, that'd be cool. I would go to Florida to meet you in a heartbeat, Steve. I'd go down there. No, well, let's not do it in July and August. All right, like June, July, August, just so hot down there. Oh my gosh. Uh, but man, the spring or the fall, I'm all over it. I'd go there in a heartbeat. I'd probably make a road trip out of it because I love to drive. I know it sounds crazy. I love to drive, and there's so many cool places between here and there. Let's get out of here. Have a great night. Have a great weekend, and thanks for being here. Do whatever you can to spread the good word about the live stream. Let's try to, we're trying to set a goal to get 50 people watching at a time, then 100, then 200, then 1,000. Wouldn't that be cool? I think we can get there. I will be here on Monday. I have no idea what we're going to talk about. Yeah, you're exactly right. Florida, because of Governor DeSantis. That's right. He and the South Dakota woman governor, there, Naomi. There's only a couple of governors here in the United States that understand what's going on, and but we don't need to go to South Dakota or North Dakota. There's nothing there, not much. Florida, we could play some golf. I mean, I'll play some golf. I'll bring my sticks. We can play a little golf, or do whatever you want. I'm out of here. Have a great weekend. I know I will. I hope you've signed up for the newsletter. Got a pretty good newsletter coming out on Sunday. Hopefully you'll get it if you're signed up. And I will be here Monday. Thanks so much. Thanks for being here. Have a wonderful weekend and just have a great time. And I'll be here Monday. I'm Tim Carter. This has been Ask the Builder.